I'm talking to the general public. Only because it's like, do you understand? Subliminal is subliminal. It's like the last thing you see is the last thing you saw. And so therefore it's like in your mind kind of thing. Because I was thinking about something totally different than not that actual like, wow, who am I like talking to? Because I'm really thinking about, because I'm in the jungles right now. And so I'm having like this like deja vu moments, and then this like reflection moment. I guess that's kind of really kind of what deja vu might even be, is a reflective moment. But I'm like, wow, it's crazy because I was living because I watched This Is the Life, and I was like, I was living over here when the good life started, or because the good life wasn't really because I mean, and they allude to that in the beginning of it, is like, and I don't want to harp on it, but I mean, we all have our opportunities to tell our stories, and this is just like, this is therapy, and I'm telling stories. And I like, they allude to the fact that it wasn't exclusively hip hop. There were other nights at the Good Life. So that being said, does it mean that because they're talking about the hip hop aspect of, I guess, the Good Life. So, because I was going to the Good Life beforehand, because my mother's a vegetarian, so I was going to the Good Life like the licorice. Oh my god, I used to love the licorice shake. Fucking goddamn Good Life. That was my thing at Good Life. I used to go there to get the licorice, and I had hot dogs there too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I used to go there for their hot dogs, their chili dogs. Their chili dogs were really good. You know, the veggie chili dog. I mean, that was my original fucking veggie spot before, well, dog spot before I started going to fucking before I started going to Earl's, before Earl started offering them. But even my family used to go to fucking Good Life beforehand. We used to literally go to Good Life to get food before the actual you know whole incident of the Good Life becoming this night spot in which, and that's crazy too because now I'm actually really thinking about it because I hadn't thought about it in a long time. The fact that we were actually going there as a family because we lived right up the hill in Baldwin Hills. So even afterwards, later on, I would still go when I had a little bit of change. I would go to fucking goddamn to Good Life to go get like a veggie dog, a veggie chili dog, and that's in the daytime before the the 8 to 10 hip hop thing. And this is in the '90s. I mean, this is in the late '80s, early '90s, like '88, '89. And I know I was doing spoken word at the time, and I was doing spoken word at a spoken word night at um, at the Good Life Cafe. During his late night hours, it's something they did, and I would sit back in the back and I would buy licorice and so forth. And this is just from my recollection, and I remember that that AC and Mike were doing this thing in Hollywood at the time. Um, they were doing a thing in Hollywood at this at this gallery, and uh, I was also working with this cat named Matthew, and Matthew was a producer, and Matthew was supposed to be my producer, and me and Matthew would go to fucking Good Life so I could, you know what I'm saying, because I had stage fright. And that was one of the reasons that I went to the Good Life is because I had stage fright and I was trying to overcome my stage fright. And there weren't big audiences and a lot of people that I knew at the Good Life. So I would go to the Good Life so I could perform songs that I could perform at the Good Life, because of the audience and not have to endure, what I'm saying, the large crowds. Like, cause I had a real anxiety attack, even though I kind of like, cause I had done the Jive showcase at Hollywood Live earlier, and that had kind of like caused a lot of anxiety, even though it wasn't like really um, shown during the show, but it was, afterwards, after that. So I decided that the Good Life would be a great place for me to go in Rimini. That's from my recollection. That's, I'm just saying, from my recollection, that's what I remember. That I was living in the jungles. I was living on Ursula, and my mom's business partner's condo, and that the good life was right around the corner. And matter of that, I mean, that was as early as that was like '89. That's like 89, 90, and then like in '91, because I started Job Corps in like '91, and I remember William and a cat named Mustafa. I remember talking to them about going to the Good Life because I was promoting for Funk Jungle at the time, and I had given them a flyer to come to Funk Jungle, and I told them about the Good Life, and I was like telling people about the Good Life, and that it was a place to come and chill. It was getting kind of chill and stuff, and there was kind of like some animosity towards not necessarily the Good Life management, but the individuals that were doing the spoken word thing, and it was on Wednesday. It wasn't on a Thursday yet. That Thursday thing came later. It was, um, I don't know. There are other individuals who are involved in that whole circumstances that are still around. I don't know how they recollect the whole thing, but that's how I recollect it. So again, we have different recollections. So I mean, and this is just something that's going on in my head right now, and I had been dealing with it. The only reason because this movie is fucking 10 years old, so it's like I've had 10 years of not seeing it, and I've had a lot of anxiety about seeing This Is the Life, like to the point like because even when it was coming out, it was a lot of like what I'm saying like back chatter about This Is the Life is coming out and what is it gonna be and da, da, da. And even my brother was talking to me about it, and I was like, well, I don't want to have it. I don't really care. I have my own perspective, and I'm more concerned about my perspective than any other perspective. And I'm pretty certain that I'm not gonna have any involvement in it. So, and I mean that's of my own creation. I created that reality, maybe. So 10 years later, fucking, you can't, why cry over spilled milk? But again, the only reason that I watched the movie because I was having recollections about that period of time. So I decided to go look at a movie about that period of time and see, what I'm saying, like, wow, that's a unique perception. I mean, or perspective of the events. That's unique. That's a unique perspective of the events. Because like a lot of things happen before the Good Life. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, Black Radio happened before the Good Life. You know what I'm saying? It's like Hollywood happened before the Good Life. You know, Hollywood and Highland happened before the Good Life. You know what I'm saying? Jive happened before the Good Life. You know, these things are the things that happened before the Good Life that even made the Good Life even really viable, that happened before the Good Life. All these things that happened before the Good Life, BLAC happened before the Good Life. The Jive fucking goddamn showcase happened before the Good Life. That's some real ass shit. Funk Jungle happened before the Good Life. All these things occurred before the Good Life. And that's some crazy shit that it is all like culminated at the Good Life. But then again, that's that perspective, and that's what the movie was about. The movie wasn't about everything that happened before the Good Life. It was about the Good Life. So it was like, but then again, if you're from the outside looking in, it kind of like seemed like a lot of things occurred all in '92, and that doesn't, you know what I'm saying? And then they sprouted out of the Good Life after '92, and that's again truths when the relationship is subjective and objective. And I was just like, okay, I guess a lot of those truths are truths from a kind of perspective, but then it's like, I'm like, huh? Fun Jungle happened before that shit. No, come on, stop. Don't. Icebox. Icebox happened before fucking, Good Life. I mean, it's like all these things that occurred before Good Life that had an immense impact. I mean, Earl the Poet and on K-Day, Friday nights at fucking K-Day happened before fucking, I mean, come on, bro. Come on, no, dog, come on. Crenshaw Swap Meet Have for a good life. Mr. J's, come on, dog. Stardust, come on, dog. Come on. It just didn't seem. It seemed like I don't know. I don't know. It was a great attempt. It was a great attempt. Or then perspective. Perspective. I was. Oh wow, that's crazy. I was just like, wow, and it really, and then at the same time, it's like really a vehicle because I was watching Flash the other day where they had this like, they had Garrison, the fucking Flash Earth 2 on the fucking shit, and they had this pathway that had this collapsing hallway between these two doorways, and that's again the perception of like events. And I like, and how things, when you look at through that event, things could turn out. You could have, Barry Allen being Flash in one world, and then you have Jay Garrick being Flash in another world. I don't know. It's just perspective. I like that though. I like that. I really do. And it's crazy. That's funny shit. I mean, but all those things happened before, motherfucker. Goddamn, Like, but the good life itself is sufficient. It's significant. I mean, sufficient. Significant. It's significant.